This succulent is known by a few common names as it looks incredibly similar to other cultivars. I believe only ladyfingers or skinny fingers is correct. Some of you may be thinking Gollum, Shrek or Hobbit, but these are slightly different. All of these plants have something in common though. They have one ancestor, Crassula ovata or the jade plant. Some are mutations that happened in cultivation and some are hybrids. It is believed that a bacteria caused this particular mutation and forced leaves to roll in on themselves and fuse. One thing is for sure though, this is an amazing cultivar that is versatile, easy to grow and interesting to look at. Skinny Fingers grows as a small shrub to about 1.1 meter in good conditions. Pot plants are likely to grow smaller than those planted in the ground. The size will very much depend on the growing conditions and root space. The leaves are cylindrical and often throw out odd shapes when they get fused together. Most are fully closed up into a roll, but some stay partly open. They truly can look very bizarre. The color of the leaves is shades of green and can change with the seasons or when the plant is stressed. During the cooler months, the tops of the leaves can turn a dark red color. This may also happen when the plant is exposed to full sun or when root bound. The trunk and branches are a light brownish color. This succulent will grow best outdoors in a bright sunny spot. It does tolerate outdoor shade and filtered light but can stretch as a result. Fungal diseases such as rot are more likely to attack when succulents are grown in shaded spots that are often more humid. Crassula is quite tolerant of being grown indoors but will need decent light. It's a good indoor plant, very low maintenance, but it will grow much slower than its counterparts outdoors. It may need support as branches can droop in low light. If you live in a frost-free part of the world, Skinny Fingers can be grown in the garden. The best position in the garden would be where it cannot get overshadowed by other bigger plants. When growing in the ground, you can help it establish by mixing any type of potting mix in with the garden soil. The roots are thicker than other succulents, but if they cannot break through hard dirt, the plant will grow slow. When growing succulents in the garden, it's best to choose a slope, raised beds or a spot where water doesn't pool after the rain. Ladyfingers are very hardy and will tolerate any potting mix but will grow best in succulent potting mix when in pots. Succulent potting mix is formulated to have the right pH and is well draining. In the garden you can plant straight into the dirt, but if you want big lush plants, do mix in some potting mix and break the soil up. This Crassula does not seem to mind water and should tolerate overwatering. In my experience, it is not prone to water-related disease such as rot or edema. Having said that, if you can help it, it's best the potting mix dries out completely between waterings. Temperature-wise, it will tolerate heat well over 40 degrees Celsius, though it can suffer sunburn when exposed to full sun once it gets this hot. Young and poorly established plants could die, especially when planted in dark colored pots. Skinny Fingers is not very frost hardy. It can get frostburns and even die when temperatures drop below the freezing point for too long. If you only get the occasional frost, use frost cloth to protect your succulents. During deeper frosts or snow, bring this plant indoors for the duration. This Crassula is super easy to propagate. You can multiply leaves, cuttings and seeds. Personally, I wouldn't bother with seeds, it takes too long and it's not awfully reliable. For fast results, take cuttings. You can cut off small as well as big branches. Leave the cuttings in a bright but shaded spot until the wound dries to prevent disease and bacteria getting in. Bigger cuttings can take more than a couple of days, but 24 to 48 hours is usually enough. You can then plant the cuttings into pots filled with succulent potting mix or directly into the ground. Roots should appear in 2 to 3 weeks. If you want loads of little skinny fingers, you can propagate leaves as well. Carefully twist the leaf off without breaking it. Broken leaves are unlikely to grow leaf babies. You can leave the leaves in a tray until leaf babies emerge, or you can pop the leaves straight on top of potting mix. You don't have to plant the leaves in, just let them sit on top. The roots will find their way into the potting mix eventually. I would highly suggest propagating during the growing season. This can vary depending on where in the world you are. However, I'd say spring to early autumn will work just fine anywhere. Avoid propagating during the cold months. In my experience, this Crassula is not often bothered by pests, though some do occasionally attack. Aphids are common on flower stalks and young leaves in spring, but they can be easily controlled by pyrethrum spray. Leaf mealybugs can be sometimes spotted, but skinny fingers is not their favorite host. Root mealybugs, however, are quite common in potted plants, especially when root bound. Snails, slugs, caterpillars and grasshoppers can have a go too, but if there's tastier stuff around, they'll leave skinny fingers alone. The flowers are similar to Crassula ovata. They open up in bunches up the top. They are 5-petal and star-shaped. Buds and petal edges can be pink in enough sun. The petals kind of warp and twist inwards on themselves, but are not fully fused. They certainly look slightly odd at first glance. Flowers usually come up in winter or spring depending on your location. So sadly, Crassula ovata and all of its cultivars such as skinny fingers are mildly toxic. You'd have to consume quite a bit to become sick with vomiting, nausea and diarrhea, but it may be better to keep out of reach of plant curious pets and kiddos. And on that note, it's time to end. I hope this video was useful. You can let me know what you think in the comments, and I will see you all next time. Thank you so very much for watching.